Hello friends. Have you ever wondered which zodiac sign could keep you laughing through your darkest days? Or which sign could turn even a bad date into a stand-up routine? Today, we're diving deep into the stars to find out which zodiac sign is the funniest of them all, and why each one has their own unique brand of humor. After watching, if you'd like to support the channel, click the Thanks button right under this video or use the donation alerts link in the description. Your support really helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for being here. Now let's continue. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. Ever met someone who walks into a room and instantly changes the energy, not because they're trying, but because chaos just follows them like a loyal dog with a sense of humor? That's Aries. Their humor isn't carefully curated or delicately balanced. It's a full-blown explosion of impulsive laughter, witty banter, and accidental slapstick brilliance. Aries doesn't tell jokes, they live them in real time. They'll spill their coffee, trip over a chair, and somehow turn that whole scene into a story everyone repeats for weeks. Aries' humor is kinetic. It moves, jumps, runs, and sometimes crashes into walls. They're not the quiet observer who studies the crowd, they're the bold spark who turns an awkward silence into a comedy show. Their brain runs faster than their mouth, so punchlines often tumble out like fireworks, leaving everyone laughing before they even finish the setup. They thrive on reactions. The louder the laughter, the brighter their energy burns. What makes Aries truly funny, though, isn't just the noise or the speed, it's the authenticity. They're not trying to impress, they just genuinely find life ridiculous. They'll laugh at their own mistakes before anyone else can, not out of insecurity, but out of pure acceptance. That self-awareness, wrapped in confidence, creates the perfect comedic balance, a blend of boldness and vulnerability that pulls people in. They're also masters of physical comedy. Aries can't tell a story without their whole body getting involved. Gestures, facial expressions, tone shifts, everything. When they act out how they heroically battled the office printer or tried to assemble IKEA furniture, you're not just hearing the story, you're living it through them. Their humor has texture, rhythm, and motion. Aries is also the zodiac's prank champion. Their mischievous streak runs deep, playful, never mean-spirited. They might swap your phone's language settings or tape googly eyes on your laptop, but the laughter they ignite always outweighs the inconvenience. They want to make the world lighter, to prove that even in chaos, joy is possible. Their humor also carries an undercurrent of courage. Aries isn't afraid to say the thing everyone else is thinking but too polite to admit. They'll call out the absurdity of modern life, like how we need an app to remind us to drink water, and somehow make it feel refreshing instead of cynical. They're brutally honest comedians wrapped in charm. Even their impatience can be funny. When Aries tries to teach you something, they'll do it with a mix of enthusiasm and exaggerated frustration, like, "No, not that button, the other button. Okay, now you broke it, but I still love you." You can't take them seriously, even when they want you to. Aries laughs loud, lives loud, and loves loud. Their humor isn't about control, it's about freedom, the freedom to be messy, passionate, human. They remind us that comedy isn't always polished. Sometimes it's raw, spontaneous, and absolutely unforgettable. In a world obsessed with filters, Aries is pure, unfiltered laughter. When they laugh, it's contagious. When they joke, it's fearless. And when they fall, literally or metaphorically, they turn the landing into applause. That's Aries, life's eternal jester, powered by fire and ruled by joy. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. Taurus humor is a slow burn, the kind that doesn't try to make you laugh immediately, but somehow you find yourself giggling long after the conversation ends. It's smooth, grounded, and infused with an earthy kind of charm that only a Taurus can pull off. If humor were a meal, Taurus would serve it in perfect portions, seasoned with patience, and paired with the right mood. They don't need to be loud to be funny, their comedy has texture. It's about timing, subtlety, and the art of saying the exact right thing at the exact wrong moment, on purpose. A Taurus never tries to be the clown. They're the cool, calm observer sitting quietly in the corner, until they drop a one-liner so devastatingly accurate that everyone freezes for a second before the laughter erupts. It's not just the joke, it's how they deliver it. Deadpan, unbothered, maybe with a raised eyebrow or the slightest smirk. Their wit hits like an espresso shot, small, concentrated, and unexpectedly powerful. They have a natural talent for noticing the humor in everyday routines. The way someone overreacts to spilled coffee, the drama of waiting in line, or the tragic moment when your favorite snack falls to the floor. Taurus doesn't just see it, they narrate it. Imagine them describing a Monday morning. It's amazing how my alarm clock hates me more passionately than most people ever will. That's classic Taurus, quietly savage, hilariously accurate. Sarcasm is their weapon of choice, but it's never cruel. It's smooth, wrapped in velvet, dipped in honey. Their version of teasing feels more like gentle truth-telling. You laugh because it's true, and they know it. They'll roast you for being dramatic, but in such a calm tone you won't even realize you've been roasted until 5 minutes later when you suddenly burst out laughing. Their humor also carries a deep appreciation for life's simple pleasures. Taurus finds comedy in indulgence, in the universal struggles of modern comfort. They'll joke about being in a serious relationship with their couch, or describe exercise as a betrayal of everything I stand for. They understand the joy of laziness and make it sound like a philosophy worth adopting. But behind the laughter, there's a rhythm, a sense of calm control. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of beauty and pleasure, and that elegance seeps into their comedic style. Their jokes aren't rushed, they're composed. Even when they're being funny, there's something effortlessly graceful about it, like a jazz tune, improvised but harmonious. And then there's their storytelling. Oh, Taurus can tell a story. They'll start slow, luring you in with mundane details. So I was just trying to make pancakes, right? And before you know it, you're crying with laughter over how their spatula somehow betrayed them, the smoke alarm went off, and the cat got traumatized. Their ability to turn the ordinary into a comedic masterpiece is uncanny. Taurus humor thrives in shared experiences, the small, familiar struggles everyone relates to but rarely admits out loud. They find beauty and comedy in imperfection. The burnt toast, the traffic jam, the stubborn coffee lid. While others complain, Taurus laughs, not out of mockery, but out of the wisdom that life's minor annoyances are actually its funniest moments. They're the friend who can sit in silence for 10 minutes, then drop one perfectly timed line that leaves the whole room wheezing. They don't need to dominate a conversation to be funny. Their humor blooms in pauses, in reactions, in the subtle art of understatement. When they do speak, it's with such grounded authenticity that everyone listens and laughs. Taurus humor is also rooted in observation. They watch, they notice the way people behave when they think no one's looking, the contradictions in what we say and do. A Taurus can turn a serious office meeting into an internal comedy show, narrating in their head how everyone's pretending to care while secretly daydreaming about lunch. When they share that observation later, you can't help but laugh because, yes, it's so true. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. If comedy were a sport, Geminis would not just win Olympic gold, they'd host the ceremony, interview the athletes, and make the crowd laugh so hard that no one remembers who actually got the medal. Gemini humor is lightning in a bottle, unpredictable, dazzling, and impossible to contain. They're the Zodiac's shapeshifters, born entertainers who can adapt their comedic style to any audience. Whether it's a quick-witted quip in the boardroom or a spontaneous stand-up routine at dinner, they're masters of timing, delivery, and pure improvisation. A Gemini's brain moves at double speed, constantly observing, analyzing, and remixing reality into something funny. Their humor thrives on curiosity. They see the world not as it is, but as it could be if everyone just lightened up. Give them a boring situation, and they'll turn it into a performance. Stuck in traffic? Gemini's narrating it like a dramatic movie trailer. In a world where red lights never end, one driver dares to believe, the green will come. They're also the Zodiac's natural mimics. Geminis can imitate voices, accents, gestures, and personalities with surgical precision. Your boss, your mom, your GPS, no one is safe. They'll notice tiny details others miss, the way someone overuses the word, literally, or how your cat seems to judge you silently, and transform them into comedy sketches on the spot. Their humor is part theater, part intellect, and part chaos. The secret to Gemini's funniness lies in their duality. They can be silly and philosophical, sarcastic and sincere, all in the same breath. One moment they're cracking jokes about losing Wi-Fi like it's the end of civilization, and the next, they're playfully dissecting the meaning of life, and somehow, both hit perfectly. Their ability to weave humor into every emotional wavelength makes them endlessly entertaining and impossible to predict. They love wordplay. Puns, irony, and absurd analogies are their native language. A Gemini could take something as mundane as a grocery list and turn it into a one-act comedy. Tomatoes, milk, and existential dread, yeah, that's dinner. Their verbal agility makes them conversational acrobats, always flipping between wit and charm with ease. And oh, the storytelling. Geminis don't just tell stories, they perform them. They'll set the scene, build tension, add voices for every character, and deliver a punchline so naturally that you forget they didn't actually rehearse it. Every Gemini conversation feels like a podcast episode you didn't know you needed. But their humor isn't just about laughs, it's about connection. Geminis use comedy to bridge gaps between people, to dissolve awkwardness, to turn strangers into friends. Their laughter is social glue. It holds conversations together and makes everyone feel lighter. Even when they're teasing, it comes from a place of playfulness, not malice. Their humor says, let's not take life too seriously. Let's just have fun while we're here. They're also masters of self-deprecation, but in a charming way. They'll roast themselves first, making everyone comfortable enough to relax. Of course I'm late, time is a social construct, and so is my sense of responsibility. You can't even be mad because they say it with such sincerity that it feels philosophical. Geminis can find humor in pain, too. They're the ones who'll joke about heartbreak, stress, or failure, not to dismiss it, but to survive it. Their laughter is medicine, their wit a shield against the heaviness of life. They believe everything, even chaos, can be funny if you look at it from the right angle. When a Gemini tells a joke, you laugh not just at what they said, but at how they said it, the timing, the rhythm, the gleam in their eye that says, I've already got 3 more of these lined up. Their comedy has layers, like an improv performance guided by instinct and lightning-fast thought. They don't just tell jokes, they become the joke, embodying it with movement, tone, and wild enthusiasm. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. You might not expect it, but Cancer's humor is one of the Zodiac's best-kept secrets. Tender, witty, and layered with emotion. It's the kind of humor that sneaks up on you. It doesn't shout, it feels. Cancer jokes hit differently. They're heartfelt, relatable, and often come with a side of truth that makes you laugh and sigh at the same time. Cancer's comedic gift lies in their deep empathy. They understand people, their insecurities, their quirks, their contradictions, and they know exactly how to turn those human moments into something both funny and healing. When a Cancer tells a joke, it's never mean-spirited. It's observant, kind, and deeply self-aware. I'm not clingy, I just like to make sure you're safe, hydrated, and emotionally stable 24/7. It's humor that hugs you, and maybe roasts you a little. They use comedy as a shield and a bridge, a way to protect their sensitivity while still expressing it. Cancer is the friend who'll make you laugh when you're crying, the person who cracks a joke right in the middle of chaos, just to remind everyone that it's okay to breathe. Their humor has a healing pulse. It's designed to comfort, not just entertain. But don't underestimate them. Cancer humor can be sharp. When pushed, their sarcasm cuts like a blade made of silk. They'll drop a comment so witty, so emotionally precise, that it leaves the room speechless. No, I'm not overreacting. I'm just reacting exactly as much as you undercommunicated. It's savage, but it's true. Their comedic genius thrives in intimacy. Cancer shines in one-on-one conversations, where their warmth and intuition can guide the tone. They're natural storytellers, drawing from memory, emotion, and imagination. They'll reenact an entire argument with all the voices, the exaggerated gestures, and just enough self-awareness to make it hilarious. They know that humor isn't just about punchlines, it's about honesty. Cancers find comedy in vulnerability, in awkward texts, emotional overshares, and everyday absurdities of the human heart. They'll laugh about crying during commercials or checking someone's last scene like it's detective work. Their humor doesn't mock emotion, it celebrates it. They teach us that sensitivity doesn't have to be heavy, it can be funny, too. Their laughter feels like home, warm, soothing, and genuine. When a Cancer laughs, everyone else relaxes. It's not performative, it's soulful. They don't laugh to be polite, they laugh because something truly touches them. And that authenticity makes their humor irresistible. Cancers also have a gift for turning emotional chaos into art. They'll take heartbreak, confusion, or nostalgia and twist it into a punchline that's both poetic and hilarious. I don't miss my ex, I just miss the emotional stability of pretending to be fine. That's peak Cancer, raw, real, and funny in a way that makes your chest ache a little. Their humor often reveals how much they care. They'll joke about worrying too much, loving too hard, or feeling too deeply, but the subtext is always love. It's their way of saying, yes, I feel everything, but if I can make you laugh about it, maybe it'll hurt less. And when they're in a comfortable space, surrounded by people they trust, Cancer can be wildly funny. Their expressive faces, dramatic storytelling, and emotional honesty make every joke come alive. They'll make fun of themselves, but in a way that says, hey, we're all beautifully flawed here. Cancer humor reminds us that laughter and emotion are not opposites, they're partners. Their comedy feels like therapy disguised as a joke, a reminder that being human is ridiculous and wonderful all at once. It's laughter that heals, softens, and connects. If Gemini's humor is air, quick, sharp, and everywhere, Cancer's humor is water. It flows, reflects, and nourishes. It meets you where you are, pulls you in gently, and leaves you feeling lighter. You don't just laugh with Cancer, you feel the laugh. It lingers, softening the edges of whatever hurt came before it. That's Cancer's superpower, turning emotion into laughter and laughter into love. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. Leos don't just tell jokes, they stage them, costume them, and sell out the theater before the first line. Imagine a person who walks into a room and somehow transforms the lighting, cadence, and emotional temperature simply by existing. That's Leo. Their humor is theatrical by instinct. Broad gestures, knowing glances, perfectly timed pauses that make you hold your breath and then laugh when the release comes. Where other signs might underplay or hint, Leo performs. They are comedians who learned pacing from Shakespeare, charisma from old Hollywood, and improvisation from late-night sketch shows. Their laugh is not merely a reaction, it's part of the act. It invites you in and promises spectacle. Leos love being seen, and their jokes are crafted with an instinctive understanding of stagecraft. They understand the dramatic arc of a story, setup, escalation, punchline, and they use that structure naturally in conversation. A Leo retelling of a routine errand will have character entrances, throwaway intros, costume changes metaphorical, and a climactic burst that leaves you wiping tears from your eyes. They're not afraid of attention, they crave it, and they harness it lovingly. When a Leo tells a joke, they make sure every person in the room is part of the audience and, subtly, part of the performance. Their delivery is often layered. A wink, a smirk, a sudden change in voice, a slow build that manipulates expectation until the release is delicious. There's generosity in Leo humor. They're the friend who will roast you in front of others but in a way that makes you glow, the kind of teasing that highlights affection rather than cruelty. Their teasing is polished and often affectionate, a linguistic hug wrapped in sarcasm. Leos can take someone's foible and present it like a jewel, making the person laugh at themselves while feeling seen and appreciated. This makes their comedy communal and inclusive. It's not merely about being funny, it's about creating a shared moment of delight. They want to be the sun in the room, not to burn people, but to warm them. Leos are also hyper-aware of spectacle. They'll create elaborate one-liners, theatrical reenactments, and exaggerated metaphors. Picture a Leo describing a broken umbrella as a tragic little sunshade that decided to pivot to performance art and surrendered to the wind. The choice of language is deliberate, vivid, witty, and impossible to ignore. Their humor often contains callbacks and recurring motifs, throwaway lines they revisit days later to keep the joke alive and extend the laughter. They have an instinct for beats and rhythm, so they naturally understand comic timing in a way that reads as effortless. Confidence fuels Leo humor. There's a fearlessness to their jokes. They'll try anything, take the stage, and experiment with their persona. This audacity is magnetic. People laugh with them because it feels safe to follow a confident leader into absurdity. But Leo's confidence is layered with vulnerability. Beneath the bravado is a yearning to be recognized and loved. Many of their punchlines are both an exhibition and a plea. Look at me, laugh with me, love me. That interplay of showmanship and sincerity is what makes their humor feel rich and human rather than hollow. Leos also have an instinct for turning mundane moments into grand narratives. A grocery trip becomes a red carpet event, a spilled latte turns into a tragicomedy about the fragility of dreams. They elevate everyday life into art. This ability to mythologize the ordinary is what makes their performances so memorable. They don't just recount events, they transmute them into theatrical vignettes that feel mythic and hilarious at once. Watching a Leo narrate a minor inconvenience is like witnessing someone compose a mini-opera out of a spilled bagel. When Leos are in comedic form, they are all about contrast, combining the grandiose with the petty, the majestic with the trivial. Their humor often juxtaposes regal diction with ridiculous subject matter. They might deliver a soliloquy about the dramatic betrayal of an undercooked steak. That contrast sharpens the comedy and underscores a deeper truth. Leos love life in full color and take pleasure in blowing small moments up to epic proportions. Virgo, August 23 to September 22. Virgo's humor is the understated masterpiece of the zodiac. Precise, cerebral, and often exponentially funnier the longer you sit with it. Where Leo dramatizes, Virgo refines. Where Leo soars, Virgo chisels. Their wit is surgical, small, exact, and devastatingly effective. Virgos are the comedians of observation, the ones who mine the granular details of daily life until they find the absurdity hiding in plain sight. They don't need volume to land a joke. They rely on intelligence, nuance, and an exquisite sense of what will land in any given social climate. Virgo humor typically arrives as a quiet, concentrated zinger. Think of someone who notices the tiny logical inconsistencies in a situation, the screw that's been tightened the wrong way, the meeting that could have been an email, and then articulates that discrepancy in a way that clarifies and then elicits laughter. Their observations are so accurate that the comedy feels inevitable. Once pointed out, you can't believe you hadn't noticed it yourself. Virgos have a way of making you see the world with new clarity while also making you laugh about your own blind spots. Part of what makes Virgos so funny is their love of irony and their intolerance for sloppy thinking. They'll find humor in the mismatch between intention and action. People who buy gym memberships and then never use them, apps that promise productivity and deliver distraction, instructions written with baffling optimism. A Virgo's remark will expose the absurdity with crisp language and minimal fuss. Yes, I'll declutter my life right after I alphabetize the junk drawer. The economy of words is their strength, concise, observant, and quietly savage when warranted. Virgos are also adept at meta-humor, jokes about jokes, or commentary about social rituals that everyone tacitly follows. They notice performative politeness, bureaucratic theater, and social scripts, and then point them out with a dry, knowing tone that's both hilarious and a little unnerving. Their humor often requires a cognitive click. You read their line, your brain processes the logic, and then laughter erupts, delayed but satisfying. It's the kind of humor that rewards attention and thought, which is why Virgos are beloved by people who appreciate wit that respects the intellect. Self-deprecating humor is another Virgo specialty, but it's precise rather than abject. They'll poke fun at their own tendencies, perfectionism, overplanning, microscopic focus on details, but the joke doubles as insight. I don't procrastinate, I perform a comprehensive cost-benefit analysis of doing nothing. That kind of line reveals self-awareness and invites shared recognition. Their comedic vulnerability builds trust. You laugh at them, then realize you're laughing at yourself too. Virgo's humor thrives in practical contexts. They're hilarious when analyzing systems, workflows, and errors. A Virgo can take a dysfunctional process, like a convoluted return policy, and turn its logic into a sketch about human absurdity. They identify the inefficient gears in society and narrate them with clarity and comic disdain. Their comedy often feels like a diagnostic report written in witty footnotes, painfully accurate and oddly satisfying. Timing for a Virgo is precise in a different sense than Leo's theatrical beats. Virgos understand conversational rhythm and use micro-pauses and selective emphasis to let an observation land. They don't need to shout to be heard. Their delivery is economical, letting the content do the heavy lifting. When a Virgo laughs at their own joke, it's often a small, knowing smile that invites you into the pattern recognition that produced the humor. It's cerebral laughter that unfolds like a puzzle being solved. Language matters to Virgos. They choose words as a sculptor chooses tools, each image, each adjective, carefully selected to maximize clarity and comedic payoff. Their punchlines are often linguistic flips. Metaphors turned inside out, bureaucratic language applied to intimate life, or technical terminology used to describe daily mishaps. This lexical precision makes their humor especially satisfying for people who appreciate clever phrasing and tight construction. Libra, September 23 to October 22. Libra's humor is diplomacy wrapped in sparkle, the art of making people laugh without stepping on a single toe. If charm had a zodiac sign, Libra would trademark it. Their comedic sense of balance allows them to glide between irony and sincerity, satire and sweetness, all without tipping the scale too far in any direction. They are masters of reading the room, detecting tension like a conductor sensing discord in an orchestra, and then easing it with a perfectly timed line that melts away awkwardness. To be in conversation with a Libra is to feel that wit can be elegant, that laughter can sound like music, and that humor doesn't need to shout to be heard. A Libra's humor often starts with empathy. They have an intuitive grasp of human dynamics and instinctively know what kind of joke will land with whom. They're the people who can tease their boss without losing their job, roast a friend without hurting feelings, and joke about serious issues without trivializing them. Their sense of humor is emotionally intelligent, balanced between intellect and heart. They can turn a debate into a friendly banter, a disagreement into a shared laugh, and a heavy moment into light conversation. Libra humor is also strikingly social. It thrives in connection. They love laughter that feels communal, that includes rather than excludes. They're natural conversationalists who make group dynamics sparkle. Their timing, their tone, and their subtle physical expressiveness all work in harmony to create laughter that feels good-natured and organic. When a Libra enters a dull room, the energy lifts. They become the axis around which conversation begins to rotate smoothly again. Flirtation is another tool in their comedic arsenal. Libras know how to make people blush and laugh at the same time. Their humor flirts not just with people, but with ideas, playful, teasing, suggestive in the safest way possible. A Libra can make a joke about romance that's equal parts clever and charming, delivered with that disarming smile that says, "I'm only half kidding." It's humor as a dance, a step forward, a wink, a retreat, leaving the audience simultaneously entertained and enchanted. Their comedy often reflects their aesthetic sensibilities. Libras are ruled by Venus, and it shows. Their jokes are polished, their phrasing smooth, their tone graceful. They value beauty in everything, even in humor. They don't go for crude punchlines or harsh sarcasm. Instead, their jokes feel like well-designed architecture, each word precisely placed, each pause intentional. You laugh not because they surprised you with noise, but because they delighted you with finesse. A Libra can make bureaucracy sound romantic or turn an existential crisis into a cocktail anecdote. They find humor in contradictions, in the space between what people intend and what they actually do. Of course I meditate, they'll say, I just get anxious about finding the right playlist. Their humor acknowledges the absurdity of modern life but frames it with style and humanity. When conflict arises, Libra humor is a bomb. They have a knack for diffusing arguments with levity that doesn't dismiss anyone's feelings. They'll find the neutral ground where everyone can laugh at themselves without feeling judged. We're both right, they might joke, which means I'm extra right for noticing that. The brilliance of Libra wit lies in this equilibrium. It's humor that harmonizes, that finds laughter as common ground. They are storytellers too, but their stories are light-footed, they glide rather than stomp. They build small scenes out of daily life, sprinkle them with irony, and end with punchlines that feel both spontaneous and inevitable. And because Libras genuinely care how others feel, their stories often leave everyone in a good mood. They're entertainers in the gentlest sense, not attention seekers, but joy weavers. Even their physicality plays a role in their comedy. Libras use expressions, gestures, and micro-reactions to enhance their delivery. A raised eyebrow, a subtle shrug, or an exaggerated sigh can send people laughing before the words even land. Their humor engages all senses. It's visual, verbal, emotional, and rhythmic. Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21st. Scorpio humor is the midnight laughter that erupts when you least expect it, sharp, magnetic, and a little dangerous. Their jokes cut through pretense, revealing truths that most people only whisper about. Scorpio doesn't traffic in surface-level humor. They dive deep into the forbidden, the awkward, and the unspoken, finding the absurdity in darkness and the relief in revelation. When a Scorpio makes you laugh, it's not a polite chuckle. It's a full-bodied reaction that feels half like confession and half like exorcism. There's mystery to their delivery. Scorpios can drop a line so deadpan, so flawlessly timed, that you're unsure whether to laugh or brace for emotional impact. They'll say something that sounds serious, pause just long enough, and then you realize, it's a joke, but it's also true, and you're now laughing at something profound. That's their magic. They weaponize truth, using it as both scalpel and punchline. Scorpio's humor has layers: irony, darkness, intelligence, seduction. It's never cheap. They don't rely on easy gags or obvious setups. Their jokes feel like secret codes. If you get them, you're in. If you don't, well, maybe you weren't supposed to. There's something thrilling about being part of their audience, like being let in on a forbidden truth. They're the masters of tension release. Picture a tense moment, an awkward meeting, an uncomfortable silence, a heated argument, and there's Scorpio, watching quietly. Just when it's about to boil over, they drop a single line, low and deliberate, that diffuses the tension like steam escaping a valve. Everyone laughs, partly out of relief, partly in awe of how they managed to read the room so perfectly. Scorpio humor feels like emotional alchemy, turning heaviness into laughter without losing its weight. They are also fearless in where they take jokes. Where others fear to boo, Scorpio leans in. They find humor in mortality, jealousy, obsession, failure, all the emotional depths that make life complex. Their dark comedy isn't cruel, it's cathartic. It acknowledges that pain and absurdity often coexist. Of course I'm fine, they'll say with a sly smile. I only cried once today, and it was efficient. You laugh, not because it's silly, but because it's real. Sarcasm is Scorpio's second language. Their tone can be so dry it could ignite dust, yet beneath the sarcasm lies precision. They say what others think but won't dare articulate. Their blunt honesty is both disarming and addictive. You might gasp first, then laugh harder than you expected, because the truth they spoke, however uncomfortable, resonates. Scorpio humor is also deeply sensual. Their delivery, their gaze, their pauses, all calculated to pull you in. They use timing the way others use touch, to provoke a reaction. Its humor is seduction, a psychological game that blurs the line between laughter and fascination. You don't just listen to a Scorpio's joke, you feel it vibrate through the air. Their storytelling style is cinematic. Scorpios can take a simple anecdote and build suspense like a thriller before flipping it into a darkly funny twist. They love irony, cosmic, emotional, existential irony, and they narrate with intensity that keeps you hooked. Every Scorpio story sounds like it's leading somewhere dramatic, but it always lands in laughter, and you're grateful for the whiplash. What's most compelling about Scorpio humor is its honesty. They don't hide behind niceties. They know that life can be messy, painful, ridiculous, and beautiful all at once. Their jokes invite you to confront the shadows, to find comfort in imperfection. They remind you that laughing at darkness doesn't mean denying it, it means surviving it. Scorpios often use humor as self-defense. It's a shield, a test, and a mirror. If you can handle their jokes, you can probably handle their heart. Their comedy filters out the insincere. Only those who appreciate depth and nuance will fully get it. That's why Scorpio humor feels intimate, laughter becomes trust. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. The philosophers of comedy. If the universe had a jester who also happened to be a philosopher, it would absolutely be a Sagittarius. Their humor is wild, free-spirited, and soaked in existential truth. They don't just tell jokes, they discover them, often in the most unexpected corners of life. For Sagittarius, humor isn't just entertainment, it's a worldview. It's how they make sense of the chaos, how they question everything and laugh at it anyway. Imagine a Sagittarius in the middle of a travel disaster, luggage lost, flight delayed, phone dead. Most people would melt down. Sagittarius, they're turning it into a live comedy show in the airport lounge, reenacting the airline employee's monotone voice and pretending the suitcase ran away to pursue its dreams in Paris. They'll make you laugh so hard you forget your own frustrations. They see the absurdity in everything, and they refuse to let it break them. To them, every misfortune is a story waiting to become a punchline. Their humor is enormous, unfiltered, and global. Sagittarians collect stories like souvenirs, pulling jokes from their travels, their cultural experiences, their late-night conversations with strangers. Their comedic range is vast. One minute they're cracking jokes about airline peanuts, the next they're laughing about the meaning of life, and somehow it all flows naturally. They connect the ridiculous with the profound, proving that wisdom and comedy are really the same thing spoken in different languages. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and their humor reflects that. Big ideas, big laughter, big gestures. When they tell a story, you can't help but get caught up in their enthusiasm. They use their whole body, the animated hands, the raised eyebrows, the dramatic reenactments. Their laughter fills the room, contagious and freeing. Even the most cynical person can't help but smile when Sagittarius starts riffing on the irony of life. Their comedy thrives on spontaneity. Sagittarius doesn't rehearse, they improvise. Their jokes are born in real time, fueled by curiosity and mischief. They might start talking about one thing and end up somewhere completely different, but that's part of the fun. They're storytellers, but their stories meander, filled with detours and discoveries. You never know where the punchline will land, but when it does, it hits like an epiphany disguised as laughter. Sagittarius humor is also philosophical, not the dull, textbook kind, but the kind that makes you laugh and think. They'll drop lines like, "If time is an illusion, then technically I'm never late," or, "I don't believe in bad decisions, only plot twists." They turn introspection into entertainment, finding comedy in contradictions. Their laughter isn't just about amusement, it's about freedom. Freedom from fear, from seriousness, from the illusion that life has to make sense. They also have a rebellious streak in their comedy. Sagittarius laughs at authority, tradition, and anything that tries to confine the human spirit. They're natural truth-tellers who expose hypocrisy with humor sharp enough to cut but gentle enough to disarm. When they mock something, it's not out of cruelty, it's to liberate people from pretension. Their jokes remind everyone to stop taking life, and themselves, too seriously. Sagittarius can also be blunt, sometimes too blunt. They'll say the thing everyone else is thinking but won't dare to voice. "So we're pretending this meeting is productive," or, I didn't ghost you, I just traveled out of Wi-Fi range, emotionally. Their honesty can sting, but it's always laced with humor that makes it impossible to stay mad. Their laughter has the power to dissolve tension, even when their words hit close to home. Their humor is deeply rooted in optimism. Sagittarius truly believes that laughter can save the soul. Even when life gets messy or painful, they find a way to spin it into something that uplifts. They laugh at heartbreak, at failure, at their own mistakes, not to minimize them, but to transcend them. Of course I messed up. I'm growing character development for my autobiography. That's pure Sagittarius, self-aware, shamelessly human, and unbothered by imperfection. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. Capricorns are secretly hilarious, emphasis on secretly. Their humor isn't loud or flashy. It's subtle, dry, and delivered with the precision of a sniper. You might not even realize they're joking until the corners of their mouth twitch ever so slightly and you think, wait, was that sarcasm? Yes, it was, and it was brilliant. Capricorn humor is an acquired taste, refined, understated, and incredibly intelligent. It's the comedy of understatement, the mastery of the pause, the art of saying just enough. When a Capricorn drops a line, the timing is surgical. They don't waste words. Every syllable lands exactly where it should. I love deadlines, they'll say, deadpan. They make such a pleasant whooshing sound as they fly by. Their jokes are built on realism, that wonderfully dry perspective that only someone grounded in logic can have. Capricorns see the absurdity of human behavior through the lens of responsibility. We plan to be spontaneous at 3 p.m., they'll quip, and everyone laughs because they've just exposed the irony of overscheduling life. Their humor reminds people that the world is, frankly, ridiculous, and pretending otherwise is even funnier. They have an incredible gift for deadpan delivery. While others perform humor, Capricorn embodies it. Their expression rarely changes, their tone stays calm, but their words slice through the noise like a razor. That contrast, seriousness paired with absurdity, makes their jokes land twice as hard. They could read a grocery list and make it sound like social commentary. Eggs, milk, existential dread. Yep, that's adulthood. Capricorns often come across as serious, which makes their humor even more delightful when it appears. It's unexpected, like discovering your boss has a killer sense of irony or your stoic friend just dropped the funniest one-liner of the night. They don't chase laughter, they earn it. Their restraint makes every punchline feel like a rare gem. Their humor is rooted in observation. Capricorns notice everything: the inconsistencies, the absurd rituals, the small hypocrisies of daily life. They turn these details into quiet comedy. In a meeting, they might lean over and whisper, "We've been discussing synergy for 45 minutes. Should we schedule a meeting about this meeting?" That's peak Capricorn, practical, witty, and just cynical enough to make everyone laugh without derailing the room. Sarcasm is their native tongue. But unlike sharp sarcasm meant to wound, Capricorn's version feels sophisticated. It's satire disguised as politeness. They'll roast you, but you'll thank them for it. "Of course you're right," they'll say smoothly. "You're always right, even when reality disagrees." They don't shout, they smirk. And somehow, it's devastatingly funny. They also excel at situational humor. Capricorn finds comedy in the monotony of life, in bureaucracy, in deadlines, in adult responsibilities. They'll joke about taxes, calendars, or existential to-do lists. Nothing like spending your weekend doing laundry and questioning your life choices. It's humor for anyone who's ever felt the quiet exhaustion of being human. There's also a hint of rebellion in their restraint. Capricorn humor mocks structure even as it thrives within it. It's irony built into personality, the serious person who knows just how silly seriousness can be. Their jokes often carry a double edge, one side witty, the other profoundly true. In social settings, Capricorns are the ones who don't talk much, but when they do, everyone stops to listen. They drop one perfectly timed line that floors the room, then sip their drink like nothing happened. Their humor has authority, controlled, deliberate, and quietly powerful. Capricorn's comedy also reveals their humanity. They use humor as a release valve, a way to deal with pressure, perfectionism, and the absurd expectations of the world. When they laugh at something, it's genuine and grounding. It's their reminder that control is an illusion, and sometimes, the only sane response to life is to laugh about it. Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th. Aquarius humor is out of this world, literally and figuratively. If comedy had a galaxy dedicated to originality, Aquarius would be its reigning constellation. Their humor defies logic, structure, and sometimes even language. It's quirky, unpredictable, and full of cosmic energy that seems to beam directly from another dimension. They're the friend who laughs first, explains the joke later, and somehow, by the end, you're laughing too, even if you're still not entirely sure why. Aquarius doesn't follow comedic trends, they invent them. Their sense of humor is built on a foundation of intellect and absurdity. They love irony, paradoxes, and jokes that make your brain bend before it catches up. They might crack a pun about quantum physics or compare dating apps to experimental sociology, and they'll say it so casually that it takes you a full minute to realize how funny it actually was. Aquarius doesn't aim for the cheap laugh. They aim for the kind of laughter that feels like an aha moment. It's smart, strange, and often 2 steps ahead of everyone else. Aquarians are also the Zodiac's meme prophets. They'll find a meme so obscure, so absurdly niche, that it shouldn't be funny, yet somehow, when they share it, it becomes comedy gold. Their humor thrives on the unexpected. They'll laugh at the things no one else notices, a typo in a government document, a strange coincidence in an ad slogan, the existential crisis of a pigeon. To Aquarius, the universe itself is one giant inside joke, and they're delighted to be in on it. What makes their humor so distinctive is how detached yet insightful it feels. Aquarius observes life from a distance, as if they're an alien anthropologist studying human behavior, and their commentary reflects that. They'll point out something so obvious and yet so bizarre about everyday existence that you can't unsee it afterward. We clap when we like things. Imagine explaining that to aliens. Their humor exposes the absurdity of normalcy, reminding us that life is both ridiculous and extraordinary. They're masters of timing, not in the traditional sense of comedic beats, but in the rhythm of surprise. Aquarius humor lands where you least expect it. They don't build up to punchlines. They drop them mid-sentence, mid-thought, like a comet streaking through a quiet sky. Their jokes feel spontaneous, yet there's always a spark of intellect behind them. Their comedy is also rooted in rebellion. Aquarius doesn't laugh with the crowd, they laugh at the system. They question authority, tradition, and conformity, often using humor as their weapon of choice. They'll poke fun at outdated rules or the absurdity of social conventions, saying things like, dress codes are just capitalism's way of ranking fabrics. Its humor is social commentary, witty, bold, and unapologetically unconventional. Aquarians also excel at self-deprecating humor, but not in a sad way, in a delightfully ironic one. They'll make fun of their own weirdness, their emotional detachment, their obsession with niche documentaries, and somehow turn it into a celebration of individuality. I'm not ignoring you, they'll say, I'm just buffering. Their jokes remind us that being different is not just okay. It's funny, fascinating, and freeing. Their storytelling style is unique too. Aquarius humor often starts logically and ends in total chaos. They'll begin describing a simple trip to the store and somehow spiral into an existential debate about cereal branding and the illusion of free will. The journey doesn't make sense, but the laughter it produces absolutely does. Their humor is also deeply futuristic. Aquarius loves to imagine what-if scenarios that sound absurd but oddly plausible. What if dogs are actually the ones walking us for exercise? Or, what if Wi-Fi signals are just ghosts trying to communicate? They think in metaphors and tangents, building comedy that feels like a dream sequence narrated by a genius. Aquarius humor thrives on contrast. Intelligence mixed with silliness, logic tangled with chaos, rebellion softened by compassion. They laugh to connect ideas, not just people. And when they do share a joke, it's never just about getting a reaction. It's about sparking thought, inspiring curiosity, and breaking down walls of convention. Pisces, February 19th to March 20th. Pisces humor is dreamy, emotional, and enchantingly unpredictable, like a stand-up routine written by a poet who just woke up from a vivid dream. Their comedy dances on the edge of imagination and emotion, weaving together fantasy and truth until you're laughing one second and reflecting on life the next. They don't tell jokes, they tell stories, stories that feel like waves, pulling you in, carrying you through laughter, and gently setting you down in unexpected introspection. Pisces humor comes from the heart. It's empathetic and soulful, rooted in the deep understanding that laughter and tears often come from the same place. They're the ones who can turn heartbreak into hilarity, confusion into cosmic comedy, sadness into something sweet and absurd. He said he needed space, a Pisces might say with a sigh, so I bought him a telescope. Their wit has tenderness to it. It's emotional alchemy, transforming pain into laughter without losing its truth. They're natural storytellers, theatrical, expressive, and endlessly creative. A Pisces will tell you about their day, but somehow it turns into a full-blown dramatic monologue complete with character voices, background music, yes, they'll hum it, and poetic descriptions. They don't just recount events, they paint them. And somewhere between the exaggeration and the vulnerability, you'll find yourself laughing harder than you expected. Pisces humor has a touch of the surreal. They see the world through a dreamer's eyes, which means their jokes often sound like snippets of fantasy or absurdism. They'll say things like, maybe Mercury isn't in retrograde, maybe we are, or, I tried to manifest peace, but all I got was this parking ticket. It's whimsical, random, and delightfully self-aware. They have an incredible ability to make the abstract relatable. Pisces can take the most confusing emotions, longing, nostalgia, existential dread, and turn them into something you can laugh at. Their jokes often sound like poetry that accidentally tripped and fell into stand-up comedy. My therapist said to live in the moment, they'll say, so I cancelled all my future plans. You laugh because you feel seen. Pisces humor also thrives on empathy. They know how to read a room, not through logic, but through intuition. They can sense what kind of laughter people need. If the energy is heavy, they'll lighten it gently with whimsy. If it's too chaotic, they'll ground it with a warm, relatable story. Their jokes don't aim to dominate, they aim to heal. But don't mistake their softness for timidity. Pisces can be wickedly funny when they want to be. Their sarcasm is soaked in sweetness but delivered with precision. They'll roast you kindly, like, I love how your confidence is completely detached from your decision-making skills. It stings, but it also feels oddly affectionate. Pisces humor is tied to emotion, but it's also tied to imagination. They can drift into fantasy mid-conversation and find humor in the surreal. They might compare their love life to a doomed fairy tale or joke about crying over a commercial. I wasn't emotional, they'll insist, the dog was just very persuasive. They turn sensitivity into comedy that everyone can relate to, because, deep down, we all feel a little too much sometimes. They're also visual humorists at heart. Pisces will use gestures, expressions, and voice inflections to bring their jokes alive. They're like dream narrators who turn even the smallest moment into something cinematic. Their laughter is fluid, their timing instinctual. They don't plan their humor, they feel it. Their comedic gift lies in their ability to make people feel seen. They can find beauty and irony in the same breath, turning emotional chaos into artful laughter. When a Pisces tells a joke, it's not just funny, it's meaningful. It touches that soft, human part of you that's been through the same thing, and suddenly, you're not alone in it. Pisces humor is poetry with punchlines, dreams with giggles, sadness that learned how to dance. It's comedy for the soul, healing, imaginative, and unforgettable. Their laughter doesn't just echo, it lingers, like the last line of a beautiful song you can't stop humming. So, which zodiac sign takes the crown for funniest? Well, that depends on what kind of humor you love. If you like sarcasm, it's Virgo. If you love wild storytelling, Gemini or Sagittarius. And if you want a full show, Leo, obviously. But the truth is, every sign has its own flavor of funny. The universe really did give everyone a reason to laugh. If you enjoyed this cosmic comedy tour, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the other videos on our channel. Your next laugh might just be written in the stars.